Alright, Florida Railroad Museum Safety Rule CT100B1, effective July 27, 2010, copyrighted Florida Railroad Museum. Safety Rules, Table of Contents section, General Notice, General Rules, Clothing and Protective Equipment, working on and about locomotive cars and equipment, working with the HEP generators and train line power system, working with handbrakes, working with switches, fire prevention protection, safety rule of the day, and notes. No task is important. It's so important that we cannot take the time to perform it safely. Alright, your general notice. A. Safety is the first importance in the discharge of duty. Obedience to the rules is essential to safety. Members will be furnished with a copy of these rules, must be conversant with and obey them. If any doubt as to their meaning, they must consult with the proper authority for an explanation. In case of doubt and uncertainty, the safety course must be taken. E. Member must examine the copy of these safety rules and ensure that it is complete. F. The safety rules apply to all members. All members must have a copy of them in their possession while on duty. The museum represents the 1950s era railroading. The era is encompassed with the last generation steam and first generation diesel locomotives where to be used true to an era as possible except for when the 50s years where progress and safety learns has taken us. As a result, we no longer use the obsolete communication whistle common to passenger trains of this era, nor do we really rely on batteries, axle-driven generators for electrical power. Handheld radios and form and head-end power have been replaced, signaling electrically respectively. Ticket sales are handled over the internet. Whenever the sacrifice of 1950s reality for the 21st century technology, you must understand this makes a product more accessible and, most important, safer. In this respect, I ask you all remember a few things. This is not a model railroading. If you derail a car, it cannot be picked up with one hand or put back on the track. This is 16 ounces to a pound, 12 inches a foot to scale. Try stopping a rolling car, steel-toed work boots, you'll end up with no toes. Remember, we need you as an active member. If you go under the wheels, your legacy will be the demise of the very museum we all support. Work and play safely, enjoy, stay alert. A.T. Mazzara, Rules Examiner. Our general rules, 1000. Members take every precaution to prevent injury to themselves, the public, or other members. 1001. All injuries must be reported immediately to the conductor, engineer, or supervisor. 102. The conductor of the supervisor will be responsible for the safety of the passenger crew equipment on this is his or her assignment. Be responsible for safety, instruction, performance of all crew members on his or her assignment. Inform such members of any unusual hazard. Continue to supervise work involving unusual hazard. Note, the engineer must assist the conductor in above requirements. Crew members are 1003. Crew members are subject to post-accident random drug testing. 104. Influence, use of possession, intoxication, narcotics while on duty strictly prohibited. Causes for immediate removal from the property, review from the disciplinary community. 1005. Patrons under the obvious influence of drug and alcohol shall be watched closely so as to prevent injury to others involved themselves. Only under extreme circumstances should the person be denied passage. 106. Garbage must be disposed in proper containers. It must not be thrown from the train or maintenance way equipment. Use of tobacco by member. 107. The use of tobacco by members is prohibited while in passenger service. When the conversing with a passenger on the museum grounds, in the ticket office, and in the gift shop. 1008. Members must know the location of first aid kits and ensure that they are easily accessible and properly supplied. 1009. Members must have an up-to-date copy, working knowledge of the Florida Railroad Museum Emergency Plan. 1010. And prior to the start work, all train and engine crew members must hold a job briefing to ensure everyone have a clear, common understanding, critical tasks, perform their individual responsibilities, and performing those tasks. The crew members may discuss the following topics during the job briefing: Safety rule of the day. All new temporary operational requirements affecting the train movements are necessitated by changes in written instructions such as tables, general orders, bulletins, notice, circulars, etc. Operational requirements of the train manifest the specific job that to be done, moves to be made, any job-related safety issues, the responsibility of each crew member. E, an additional instruction due to the unusual hazard situation. F means to be used to communicate hand signals and hand signals, radio, etc. In all communication with the engine, the direction of the movement shall be governed by designated front engine F end of the locomotive. H, who will are responsible for securing equipment to be left unattended. All operating crew must synchronize timepieces prior to departing initial terminal. Note, when operation changes, additional job briefing must be conducted. That will all affected crew members to ensure complete and uniform understanding. Clothing and protective equipment. When working in the shop area, work train, or maintenance away, high-top shoes and steel safety tips are recommended. 1101, gloves will all be worn when there is danger or injuries to the hand and fingers. 1102, hard hats shall be worn when there is possibility of falling objects working under close clearance condition with a good result in head injuries. 1103, safety glasses should be worn where there is danger to the eye injury. 1104, hearing protection should be used when working on and around loud machinery. 1105, wearing rings is discouraged. Wearing rings, wristwatches, metal bands, and metal necklaces, metal earrings while working on near electrical circuits is prohibited. 1106, wearing polyester clothing discouraged. Engineering service on the steam locomotives when assigned with the fire train duties. When cutting and welding or any time there is a possibility of flame and sparks, they might contact clothing causes it to melt or ignite. 1107, the use of the radio type headphones, CD and MP3 players, etc. Any type of hearing protection that will be deadened sound, except as permitted in 1104, is prohibited. 1108, umbrella use is prohibited during the performance of duty. 1109, high visibility rain gear may be worn to be effective protected against inclement weather. Walking, standing, and sitting, 1200. When you are walking, look for and stay clear of the opening, slipping, tripping, falling hazards such as loose ballast, slipping hazards, track materials, open pits, depressions. Remove hazards when practicable. Otherwise, promptly inform supervisor of its presence. Exercise caution when working on uneven, loose surfaces such as ballast. 1201, equipment. All equipment must be secured proper location and position. Never place with objects, material, floors, walkways when they become a tripping hazard or cause injury. 1202, use the caution when walking through fog, smoke, steam, or other obscuring haze to prevent injury. 1203, use caution to be alert for snakes when picking up loose material from ground and when working through high grass. 1204, walking, standing on the right of way or in the gauge of the rail, except during the performance of duty is prohibited. Leaning against standing equipment is prohibited. Except equipment to move at any time in expect equipment to move at any time in either direction. 1206, cross tracks only when required. Keep a minimum of 25 feet away from standing equipment. 1207, do not sit, stand, or step or walk on rail switches or other parts of the track structure. 1208, keep the fare as practical with a passing equipment stop. Stay in the clear until the movement has passed. Keep alert from objects protruding from passing equipment. 1209, during inclement weather, extra caution must be taken to ensure maximum traction on slippery surface such as grab irons, ladders, vestibule steps, and platforms, buffer plates, locomotive walkways, cab station platforms. Working on or about locomotives, car equipment, 1300. When working through moving trains, keep hands and free with the ease of the handrails where available to maintain balance. Walking To compensate for the rocking slack action when moving between the cars, step over the buffer plates and use the handholds provided. 1301. Place supplies or other items on the equipment only when the train is standing. Place items on the equipment platform and hand it to the fellow crew member before ascending and descending. 1302. Crew members are prohibited from getting on and off the moving train. Standing, sitting, walking, or riding on the following is prohibited. Locomotives leading platform when crossing the street or highway. Front of cars except operating handbrakes to avoid clearance. Front cars accept the operate handbrakes to avoid close clearance and then use only end ladder, brake platform, or other location provided for that purpose. C side, the equipment, the standing, sitting, and walking, riding is prohibited with the side of the equipment closed clearance area, roof over the equipment, top side sill, end sill, open top car. Handrail, sitting, walking, riding on the handrail or uncoupling lever, draw knuckle bar space between coupler shank and striking cast or other point where foot is likely to be caught. With one foot on one unit equipment, the other on front adjacent unit, except with crossing to another car. Passenger car trap door step unless it is secured. Sitting, walking, riding out in the following is prohibited in the doors of cars with legs overhanging, and standing, sitting, walking, riding the following is prohibited in any other portion of equipment that does not permit from having firm footing and secure handhold. 1304. Getting on and off standing equipment. Crew must always maintain 3 points of contact: 2 hands, 1 foot, or 2 feet, and 1 hand until footing is assured. Before mounting, having secure handhold, observe footing condition when the dismounting phase equipment except for the passenger vestibule. Look for a secure place to dismount. Place the feet firmly on the ground before releasing hand hold. When getting off and standing, equipment crew member must dismount the equipment on one track to reach equipment on an adjacent track instead of stepping, reaching across, and jumping from one to the other. When getting off, the standing equipment crew member must avoid using handhold, ladder steps, other parts of the damaged, defective, slippery due to oil and water. The detraining hand ladder can carry it on the crook of the arm on the band over the back of the hand. Avoid the confined spaces and closed clearances. 1305. When riding on locomotive car equipment, remain seated unless the duties require otherwise. Face direction, movement, and when practical. If not seated, be sure of the firm footing. Secure handhold, be embraced in position, except the sudden stop and move at any time. 1206. When choking the equipment, be sure that the car is stopped. Proper protection afforded. Shock does not extend past the side of the car. 1307. The crew members must keep hands and fingers out of plane. Journal boxes, packing hooks must be either removed, replace, adjust wedges, brass, or pads. 1308. Use the caution when lifting. Lift with your legs, not your back. Get assistance of heavy, awkward, large objects. 1309. When necessary, 2 or more persons to handle heavy bulk materials. Designated 1 person to coordinate with the move and give a lifting, walking, lowering command. 1310. Side doors, bottom half of the Dutch doors, trap doors, vestibules must be closed while the train is in motion. When handling vestibule doors, keep your fingers clear of the latch or other pinch points. Use handle when equipped, keeping body clear of trap movement. Take care, prepare to stop and binding trap door until it's fully open. Release latch in 1 foot, placing the tip of the other foot slightly over the edge of the trap door, preventing the door from suddenly swinging open. If the vestibule trap is stuck and becomes necessary to raise the ground, position 1 crew member in the vestibule to press the safety latch while the other crew member tries to raise the trap while avoiding pinching points, being caught as the trap rises. Alright, 1312. Care must be taken when uncoupling locomotive cars. Going between locomotive cars must toward each other prohibited while uncoupling passenger equipment. Be sure power plugs, audio connections, end gates, curtains, and other connected devices in proper position before making the cut. Use caution with coupling air hoses to take care of the not to strike buffer plates with your head. 1313. When 3-step protection is requested, engine crew will fully apply the air brake. Place the reverser key in neutral or off. Place the generator field switch and control switch in the off position. The street step can only be released by the crew member requesting protection. 314. If necessary, following standing equipment or any purpose except heavy repair falling under blue flag rules, all crew members must know what work is to be performed, who is to perform such work. Apply the three-step protection. Be sure the slack has been adjusted. Working under equipment that requires the terrain brake application and additional protection. If working under equipment, request train brake application for additional protection. After all work has been performed, ensure everyone involved in this is clear of the remove of the three-step protection prior to the single train move to move. 1315. Keep at least 25 feet end of the standing equipment. From the end of the standing equipment. 1316. Before making adjustments, knuckles, drawbars, separate equipment by at least 25 feet. Separate equipment by at least 25 feet and ply. Three-step protection. Do not make adjustments by kicking equipment. 1317. Uncoupling equipment with a charged air hose. Turn your head away to avoid flying particles caused by hose parting. Position your self far enough away to avoid being struck as a result of the parting, or keeping the public away from the cut. 1318. When working between cars, keep 1 foot outside of the gauge. Assume a firm stance that will engage you to clearly quick in the event of the unsuspected movement. 1319. When coupling air hoses, keep 1 foot outside of the gauge. Grasp the air hose nearest firmly behind its head and bend it upward. Pull the other hose toward the bent hose. Determine the air hose gaskets are suitable condition. Match the heads 90-degree angles in opposing countered slots. Push them downward and be sure the heads are seated. Figure 13, 1, 2, and 3. And then 1, 2, put them 1, 2, 3. If necessary to uncouple air hoses by hand, request three-step protection. Close both angle cocks. Hold both air hoses firmly at the glad hands. Slowly raise until air pressure is depleted. Continue the raise until the glad hands are separated. Raise until they're separated. Return hose to the lower position hand instead, allowing them to drop. If necessary, bleed off standing equipment. Grip air hose firmly with the left hand and brace it against the leg. Slowly only open angle cock with the right hand to deplete with the remaining air pressure in the train line. Figure 13-2. 13-2, depleting airline, so air pressure by hand. Notice 1 foot in the gauge and then 1 foot out of the gauge. Before starting 1321, before starting the locomotive, crew must be qualified on particular type of equipment. Sure no other people in the position where they may be injured as a result of the operation. 1322, operating a locomotive, especially on which work has recently been performed. Make thorough inspection of the tools, materials left behind, improperly secured items, oil, fuel, water leaks, any tasks left incomplete, inoperative safety device. 1323, open the locomotive high voltage cabinets only to perform authorized repair, reset relays. Close and secure cabinet doors when working has been completed. Use only a flashlight in non-conductive cases when working in or around any electrical cabinet or equipment. Move rings and jewelry, metal watches before working in and around electrical equipment. 1325, do not wear loose clothing, hanging articles when working around or rotating equipment. 1326, servicing locomotives, apply blue flag protection, remove reverse to keep in the control stand, place generator control switch in the off position, place throttle and idler off, apply air brakes or hand brakes. 1327, over open a diesel engine crankcase inspection maintenance port unless the engine has been shut down for 8 hours. Unit is cooled completely. The crank atmosphere has high volatility after running allowing fresh air to enter the crankcase can result in violent explosion. EMD equipment is particularly susceptible to the issue. 1328, prior to lighting a main burner on the oil-fired steam locomotive, sound the engine bell as a warning. 1329, when operating oil or coal-fired steam engines, be alerted for fires. 1330, when dropping the fire in a coal-burning engine, do not drop hot ash on ties. Use only area where the ties have covered with dirt or shell. Ensure ashes of the prompt and completely watered down prior to leading the ashes unattended. Alright, working with the HEP generator trainline power system. 1400. Only qualified crew members must perform electrical work on locomotive generators, cars equipped with electrical equipment. 1401. Do not modify, nullify any safety control device unless authorized. Proper safety guards have provided. 1402. Electrical cables and jumpers between cars must be considered energized unless it's known that the power source has been shut down, secured, or otherwise disabled. 1403. Working between undercars when the head-end power supply is energized is prohibited. 1404. Insert or removing head-end power cables. Inspect cable head and receptacle housing any obstruction that would prevent proper operation. Do not insert or remove cables unless it's known that the power source has been shut down, secured, or otherwise disabled. Before starting a head-end power source, ensure all circuits connected to the source are in open and off position. Do not start the generator under load after starting. Switch circuits closed on position individually. Do not turn on all circuits at once. 1406. When shutting down power source, remove electrical loads first by opening and turning off each circuit connected to the source. 1407. Remove all rings, jewelry, metal watches using only flashlights with a non-conductive case in and around any electrical cabinet or equipment. 1408. In areas of high foliage, stay alert with the fire stated by a hot generator exhaust coming in contact with high weeds. Working with handbrakes. 1500. Crew members must familiarize themselves with the operation of various types of handbrake. They must take secure positions, safely operate the handbrake. 1501. On equipment equipped with the side ladders, climb on the side ladder with the height of the brake platform and the cross end ladder brake platform when the descending eve of the reverse procedure. 1502. Operating horizontal wheel handbrake, eve of the brake club, push the wave from your body so you should slip. You will fall toward and across the brake wheel. 1503. When operating vertical handbrake freight equipment, keep 1 foot on brake platform, 1 foot on the end of the ladder. Keep a secure hand hold with your left hand when operating handbrake. 1504. When operating lever style handbrakes, passenger equipment, locomotive braces your body to prevent strain. 1505. A handbrake fails to release with quick release pawl. If equipped, reapply the brake tightly and attempt to release it again. Drive with various types of handbrakes. Working with switches. 1600. Track switches, derails must be operated with the authorized crew members. Switch 1601. Switches, unless otherwise provided for, shall be left lined with the main track straight route. 1602. Proper operating switch and derail other surface device. Such device look in both directions for moving equipment. Prior to operating any switch or derail on a service move for the such device, look in both directions for moving equipment. Check to see that no obstruction interfere with the operating of the device. Ensure the switch rods are not bent or broken. Always remember the switch lever may be under tension, could fly up, swing around, and hit you when released from its latch or keeper. 1603. After operating a switch, inspect the points to ensure that it's snug against the stock rail. Make sure the switch lever is securely engaged into the keeper. If equipped with switch is locked. 1604. Switch stand must indicate proper signal for the route selected. Fire prevention protection. 1701. All crew members must stay alert. Possibility of fires either on board or along the right of way. 1701. Crew members must alert the rest of the crews before attempting extinguishing a fire. 1702. Conductor in accordance with the emergency plan shall be sole coordinator fighting fire and notify the fire department if required. 1703. Every crew member must familiarize himself with the location, proper operation, fire protection equipment provided with the engine, cars, and buildings. 1704. While protection property is important, crew members must not place themselves in a position of danger. Keep your back to the unobstructed exit. Stand 6 to 8 feet away from the fire and use the pass system. Alright, the passes. Pull the pin and unlock the operating lever with the discharge of the extinguisher. Some of the extinguishers may have other release mechanism. Aim low and point the extinguisher at the hose at the base of the fire. Squeeze the lever above the handle. Discharge extinguisher agent. Releasing the lever will stop and discharge. Some extinguishers have both button instead of a lever. And then sweep from side to side. Move carefully toward the fire. Keep the extinguisher aimed in the base of the fire. Sweep back and forth until the flames appear to be out. Watch the fire area and fire reignites. Repeat the process. Alright, fires are divided into three classifications: type of extinguishing agent necessary to extinguish each ends. They are Class A fires, ordinary combustible materials such as wood, fabric, papers, plastics, etc. Extinguishing water, multi-purpose dry chemical. Any fires extinguishers related to the Class A fires. Class B fires are combustible liquids such as gasoline, oil, grease, and gases. Ordinary multi-purpose dry chemical, carbon dioxide, foam fire extinguisher. All rated Class B fires, sand and dirt may also be used. Do not use water. Class C fires energize electrical equipment only. Do non-conducting extinguishing agent rated safety. Class C fires such ordinary multi-purpose dry chemical, carbon dioxide, electrical equipment involved with the fire should be de-energized as quick as possible. Be alert with the toxic fumes, old insulation, and do not use water. 1706. Use fuses and prohibit their danger to starting fire where combustibles are stored. 1707. Presence of the fire near over the right-of-way must be reported promptly to the proper authority unless the fire is being controlled. If there's danger of a fire spreading to a bridge or other structure, train must be stopped and delegated members of the crew must assist in extinguishing the fire. 1708. An event of the fire occurs on board and cannot be contained separate adjacent equipment from the affected car to prevent spreading. Safety rule of the day. Your table. Select the appropriate rule of the day with job briefings, and it gives you June, April, July, October, February, May, August, November, March, June, September, and December. Day 1 through day 31. Safety notes, and think safety always. And this was your Florida Railroad Museum safety rules.